Well, I hope I don't define the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Here I go again. Every year I try and string up tomatoes and I fail at it miserably because I don't stay on it. I don't have the time to deal with it. I get caught up in too many other things, and it's an utter failure. But I'm gonna try it again. So if I had to choose my favorite way of doing tomatoes, it would be using cages. And I'm talking like cages with wire that is used for like driveways. Really super heavy duty wire, 6-7 feet tall. And that's what we used to use down at my parents' property. I don't have access to all those old cages at this point in time, but if I could, in a perfect world, that's what I would use. But the stuff is super expensive. It's like at least $150, and that was like I'm going like off prices like 2 years ago. Who knows what it is now? But I can't justify going and spending that kind of money on a couple of cages. So what I have been doing is using these cattle panels because it's just available resources. So that's what I've been using the last couple of years, and it works decent enough. It gets me by. But I really want to kind of nail down the stringing the tomatoes up, because I mean that's really what seems like the most efficient way. It's like all the big wigs do it that way, and the only problem with me is just time management. I've just had time management issues over the last couple of years, but I'm not working a 9 to 5, so I'm hoping that I can stay on top of things this year, and I'm gonna give it my best go trying it on this little section that I have. So I set this up last year. All it is just a T-post here. That's conduit with the ends bent, metal conduit with the ends bent, and then I've got another T-post right there. And then what I've done is I put a stake in the middle, and then I've run a piece of tie wire all the way across on the bottom. I'm sure there's much better ways of doing this, but I'm just using what simple things I have to try and get by here. So I ran that across on the bottom, and then I've ran tie wire up from the bottom to the top. Now I set up all this stuff last year, so I'm going to use what I got here to begin with, and then when I need something extra string wise, what I'm going to do is use some of this twine for hay bales. So I'll get my tomatoes up there, use what I have to get them going, and then when I need extra stuff to stake them, to tie them off, I'll use this stuff. Well, I got everything in. I've got it all in here. Like I said, I had my tie wire going across the bottom, and then it loops around the stake to give it support, and then it keeps going over to that T-post. And then I've got all these pieces from the bottom going all the way up to the top. And what I have done is just wrapped it around. Now these tomatoes here, I have bottom pruned it and taken the suckers out of them. These ones are getting pretty big to have in the greenhouse. I still got another 150 or so tomato plants, I'm just guessing, at least in the greenhouse that I got to do something with. So, you know, I'm not saying this is the way to do it. This is just what I'm doing. And no matter what, I'm just gonna, I could watch YouTube videos till I'm blue in the face, but the point is I just gotta get out here and do this and find out what's gonna work for me, because the only way it's gonna stick in my head is just trial and error and knowing what works and what doesn't by doing it hands-on. Now we've got all these over here. I had pruned these tomatoes, these ones on the cattle panels. I had bottom pruned those, God, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or so. At this point, they are just straight up wild. I don't know how I'd even go in there and try and manicure these things. They're just stuff everywhere. So no matter what, this is going to be a lot of learning for me this year, because I'm going to be able to keep up on this stuff. Just a couple seconds a day is really all it's going to take, hopefully, just to keep winding them up. I already know what this is going to do. This is just wild, crazy everywhere. But between what I've got going in the greenhouse with the aquaponics, what I've got going out here on cattle panels, just kind of going wild, what I've got here on string, it's going to be a lot of learning this year. Well, the garden's really starting to take off here. The tomatoes are starting to show everywhere out here. I'm starting to ripen a little bit here and there. I imagine another 2 weeks tops, I'm gonna start having buckets full of tomatoes. But when it comes to this is just gonna be another spoke in the wheel of lessons to learn. So fingers crossed. I mean, there's really not that much here. It's maybe 10, 12 feet of tomatoes that I have. And I'm gonna stay on top of this. This is gonna teach me a lot because I really gotta figure something out in terms of, well, how am I gonna keep up on a couple hundred plants here? And this, I mean, this has been working. I'm gonna let this just do what it does, but I gotta step it up a little bit. This isn't the way to go long term. I feel like watching the pros, this is what they do. This is what I need to like get a grip on. So, and I know this is kind of a hokey way of doing it, but it's not costing me anything. So I'm just gonna roll with it, see what I can do, keep my fingers crossed, and just, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Anyway, guys, this is what I got for today. Thanks for joining me. Catch you tomorrow.